Welcome to another EpicTV 10 by 10. I'm over here in California, so I've got my Californian tea and my hummus sandwich, and I'm sitting here with Mark Weir, the legend, the beard, the rider.
Howdy!
Question number one. Do you ever think, thank God I don't live in Europe? Because let's face it, if you'd ridden your 1,000,000 feet of climbing you did a few years ago, that would have been 304,000 meters, which doesn't sound nearly as good.
Darn it, fractions are so hard. What'd you get for number 4?
She said don't share answers!
That's very true. I thought about meters. Meters, every time I go in Europe, I'm like, oh, we did 500 meters. And I tell my friends, it just sounds so impotent, you know? It's like 1,000,000 feet, 340 meters. They're like, meters? I mean, if you're European, it sounds sweet, but in the US, not so good.
Yeah, the thing with the US is that Americans call that 6 inches. Everybody knows what 15 centimeters is. How many feet did you actually climb?
I ended up climbing 1,175,000 feet because I knew there'd be naysayers.
Not because you were greedy.
No, greedy is not one thing I am.
Yeah, how did it come about?
I always had an altimeter. You remember the Avocet Alt 50?
Yeah.
I had that back in the day. You know, that thing was archaic. And this guy said, hey, I got a GPS one that collects information about climbing. And he looked at my thing every time I download my stuff. After he sent me stuff, he's all, hey, you're on track to climb over 1,000,000 feet in a year. I'm like, is that 340 meters? He's all, you could do it. And as soon as he said that, it was like, I got nothing else going on. I'm just racing bikes, you know? And then, you know, I did it, and you know what? Nobody cared.
Could you sit on a bike again, or did you have to have another year off after that?
You ride every day and you do that kind of stuff. It's like, I'm not the same person. The guilt builds up when I'm not on my bike. I become very insecure.
You think you're insecure, but I picked up your business card a couple of years ago at Eurobike, and it just says, Mark Weir, tough guy. Your job title is tough guy. Question number 2, did you invent that job title, or was that given to you?
I was like considered tough back in the 90s when we were racing national races, and I was like almost 200 pounds, big old dumbass beefcake guy, you know, lifting weights. And then I thought I was real tough, and Pistol Pete made me go to sleep, and I peed my pants, and that was really weird. He's like, you don't believe in the sleeper hold? Do you believe in the sleeper hold? You think it's a wrestling move? Or you think it's like, you know, like I'm gonna cinch you out, you know? He's all, come here, Weir. He's all, you gotta relax when I do this. And I'm like,
Or I'll break your neck.
He did it so tight, I was out. And then I was on the ground peeing myself. And everyone watched. This is in Utah in 1999.
I must learn that, because that sounds like a great party trick.
It's called a zip tie.
I've ridden behind you uphill. I've tried to keep you in sight uphill, and I've been very, very scared looking at the size of your calf muscles. So I'm going to say, question number 3, have you ever wished you had smaller calf muscles and then you could get some skinnier jeans and be a little bit more trendy?
Well, you know, not yet, because the only thing that keep my knee pads up is my calf muscles.
You ride a really pimp bike. It's a really nice Cannondale Jekyll, all souped up with XTR, everything, you know, all the kit. You take that bike out to crazy places to race. Question number 4, have you ever flown over there with your bike and your bike didn't show up, and basically you had to borrow somebody else's, or you had to go and borrow, you had to rent a bike to race on?
Never had to rent one, but I did have to borrow one in Kenya for the Urge event. First of all, everyone got screwed up. No one got picked up at the airport. Well, everyone did except for me, apparently, because I was hanging out in Heathrow because they don't know what snow is, apparently.
We know what snow is. Santa brings it.
Yeah, exactly. Easter Bunny's out. So all of a sudden I show up in Nairobi And I got no bike, I got no ride, I got to figure out how to get there, and it's real scary. The bike was the last thing on my mind. I just wanted to get where I knew someone.
You got $10 in your pocket, you'll get to know people pretty well, quickly in Nairobi. Most of them are women.
Yeah, maybe more than you want, you know? Yeah, so I ended up using Fred Glow's bike, and there's some helmet footage of me really getting to know this bike on a wrong turn at the first stage of this race.
Now I know, I've seen the Mojo Trail Diaries from Morocco. It's a nice little series, check them out. So you've been over to Morocco. Question number 5, did you ever wish that you came back from Morocco with one of those jalabas, one of those big cloaks that everybody wears in Morocco, and they carry things around in the hoods? Think how useful that would be in California.
Okay, where I live, have you met the redneck?
Are they a family here? It's like Mr. and Mrs. Redneck?
Family tree is very sparsely populated out the side of the tree, you know? It's like you show up with one of those and you might not show back. I would love to wear one of those. They look warm. They look kind of like Grim Reaper-ish.
And you can be naked underneath and nobody knows.
I know, and think of the ventilation possibilities.
So the redneck thing's an issue where you live, in Novato.
In Novato, it can become a touch of an issue, and I have friends that actually pretty much frown
on hummus sandwiches. I have sported quite a lot here. I put in a lot of effort into this for this visit. This is Mark Weir, the guy who basically is built an image on facial hair. You had these crazy sideburns, then you had a big moustache. And I'm going to ask you question number 6. Have you replaced it with a full beard because it made you too scared to go 30 miles south into San Francisco center?
No, you got to prep the canvas, okay? You can't just sit there and like always trim. I like to let it grow free. I like to let this free range like a chicken, you know?
Yeah.
And then as soon as the canvas grows thick enough, I can get up in there and start shaping whatever I want. I've done the dribbler.
I've done that before. I might do it tonight after we finish these beers.
Yeah, dribbling is good. Yeah. And I've done the full connection, which comes through like a monk style and connects to my Dick Van Patten. I've done the professional. You got to have a canvas to create the perfect work of art. And I'm not scared to go to San Francisco with the professional because it's nice to feel wanted.
You'd feel wanted, I'll tell you that.
Hey.
I mean, it is nice to have a canvas. It's a bit like your garden here. This was a canvas, and it's now become an enormous pump track that you can see from space.
Yeah, no, you can see it from GPS, and that makes my wife stoked. She wants fruit trees, you know?
Oh, there we are.
Did I say fruit trees?
Fruit.
Fruit? Fruit, is that even a language?
It could be in Novato.
I love pump tracks. That's the best thing. That's the only thing that made me know, you know, a million feet. You know, I mean, I never did anything really that great, you know. I was never a crazy, talented rider. I was just a guy that actually had a big mouth and liked to dig. I'm the best. I'll go shovel to shovel with any guy. I'll tell you right now.
I don't know what it means, but I'm sure you will. You have got, but your beard has left you with a bald and a beard. You've got one of those heads that, as a kid, you draw, and then you turn it upside down. It's sort of the same. You could have a head that's either way up. Question number 7. You're 8 times winner of Downieville downhill. Have you ever wished that Downieville was called Uppyville? Because I know Downieville, and there's a lot of pedaling to do in that downhill track, and I don't think people appreciate that.
Yeah, no, you know, it's like, it's frowned upon to actually be physical, you know, these days, because it's not that trendy, it's not dirt jumpy. I like having a giant motor. Downieville was the error to like make things, you know, prevalent for enduro in the US, and it did a great job of that. And you know, the track was gnarly. It is gnarly. You're basically breathing through your, you know, you're going through stuff wide open. You're climbing up a climb, a 500-foot climb. Your heart rate reaches close to 200 beats a minute if you're in the freaking wheelhouse, and then you're dropping down. As soon as you drop down third divide, my top speed when I won the last time was 48 miles an hour, and it's not easy stuff. I mean, you're going really fast. It's dangerous. It's more dangerous than actually being within yourself, not physically out. Most of the time is made where you're pedaling. I like the French enduro style because it's a balance, you know. It's 20% pedaling, 80% skill. And that might make, you know, a guy like me not on the podium, but at least I can be in the mix, you know. And that's more fun because I don't want to be getting to the bottom trying to remember to breathe. I want to get to the bottom high-fiving my friend, you know, and be like, dude, that was the sickest thing ever. I remember everything and I'm fired up, not hold on a second, I might puke.
Not to be about the bush, you have been doing quite well in quite a few of the enduros of late.
I've done my fair share of racing. I can't really compete with the French guys. Those guys are just like on a different level. I know that, you know. Started going there 10 years ago to do the enduro races. I just dragged Remy Absalon's frickin' ass all the way across the flats and dropped Jerome and all those guys because I was so fit. I was coming off like being a really fit guy, and they had one flat section, 2 minutes long. Yeah. And that fitness that I had back then is not the same, and their fitness elevated to a level that was what my fitness was. Yeah. It's changed. It's evolution, you know, and evolution, you know, dinosaurs die.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I'm actually bored of that question now, so we're going to move on. Question number 8. Have you ever wished you were the other Mark Weir? If you Google Mark Weir,
he's a badass fighter.
It comes out with a cage fighting dude from England.
I emailed him and said, dude, I want to do a thing in outside, like, can Mark Weir kick Mark Weir's ass? Yeah. And it never worked out, but because he was kind of shunned me. I think he's probably, you know, pretty much better than me at everything. But yeah, no, I wish I could kick people's ass like that, you know.
But he did, well, take it easy. He did get knocked out in the 2011 Stand Your Ground after 3 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yeah, but that's only 3 minutes. He has the fastest knockout ever recorded in UFC history at 8 seconds.
You've Googled this guy. You're obviously trying to Google yourself. Question number 9. Do you ever wish you would been the person who invented the dropper seat post?
No. I couldn't actually invent something because I'm not bright enough.
I have seen a couple of your inventions around here. One over there, which I suspect is for defeathering chickens.
You could use it for defeathering if you put it into 5th gear and you rev it, but it's mostly to sift dirt because we hate rock.
Question number 10, is it true that you have a pump track in your garden to ride on your own because nobody ever calls you to go riding because they're scared?
Well, no, you know, actually I didn't have anyone to ride with. That's why I built the pump track, and now I built the pump track, now I have too many friends.
Oh, that backfired.
The pump track is the best community builder you could ever do, and it makes you have people be your friends that maybe you're not really would ever meet them before, and then you engage and you're like, okay, let's hand this guy a shovel. You want to find out who your real friends are? Hand them a shovel.
Is there anything else? Is that because there's nothing else out here? Is that changing? I mean, we're in Marin. This is a birthplace of mountain biking.
Now we got the Marin County, where we've been working on it for 4 years for this bike park out at Stafford, right past the ranch where I took you. And it's 17 acres. There's, you know, the slalom's designed by Brian Lopes. Cam McCall's doing the slope style. I did the pump track. So it's going to be 17 acres of craziness. The thing is trying to get safe routes to schools, trying to get people to be able to have kids ride to school again. You know, like, kids don't ride to school again. I'm like, I rode to school my whole life. That's your, you know, that's your life ticket to like change, you know, it's your freedom.
And that's it. We're out of here. It's freezing. California's rubbish. It's not what my travel agent told me it would be.